awesome.
How did it feel to put on the shoulder pads today? I feel like the intensity ramped up a little bit.
Yeah, it felt good. We were able to get into our mix down emphasis and, run the plays that we're going to run during mix downs, which, happen most often on the field. So it was good to get out there and get after it with the shoulder pads on. It brings you back to the season where you're coming out to practice with the pads on, and it feels good for sure.
What are your top priorities? What does Matt Lauter need to get done this camp?
Yeah. For me, I think just focusing, on being the best overall player, trying to find those days where, I'm out there and I'm doing everything right fundamentally in the run game and in the pass game. And it's so hard to reach that point. There's so many little things that go into, the position of playing tight end. But that's what I'm trying to get to. If there's a bad play, I try to flush it and move on. I know I got a lot of pressure for me in my season and, on myself too. I put a lot of pressure on myself too. So, if something wrong happens, just being able to flush that and understand that I'm able to go out there and make those plays.
This being your senior year, does that kind of add to that pressure?
I wouldn't say that. I would just say, like, after the year I had last year, everyone's expecting, a huge 1,000-yard year or whatever, and just focusing on myself every day. I wouldn't say, being a senior really affects that. It's the same job coming in to the same room every day and going out there and performing.
Was it difficult to block out some of that noise? You're talking about 1,000-yard season and expectations from outside the building?
No, the good thing is I got a good crew around me. I got good roommates, Marco and Mason, great coaches, Coach D and Coach Potter, and a family back home that supports me. So being able to focus on myself every day is my main priority. And now that we're getting after it, it's real easy to block out the noise, to be honest with you, because I can just go out there and do what I love.
How are you seeing your role this year? Very similar to last year in the passing game, or is it a different role this year?
Yeah, I think Potter's putting me in positions to succeed. We got Matt Wagner, who's amazing tight end too. So trying to get in a lot of 12P and have me at that F position and be able to make some plays there, but also do my job in the run game. I mean, it helps a lot when you got two big bodies instead of receiver, and we got a run play, and I'm blocking a nickel, and I'm able to do that to the best of my ability. So whatever Potter gives me, I'm going to go out there and do.
How do you enjoy working with Potter?
Really well. Yeah, he's taken a next step in understanding the offense. Him and Miller do a great job. Definitely grateful for him. He came in my sophomore year, and that's when I started to really understand the tight end position. Tons of respect for that man, and he understands the game for sure.
The numbers obviously will work out during the regular season, but you bring this unique production to this football team. Do you see yourself potentially leading this team in targets and or catches?
I don't know. We're just gonna have to see. I wouldn't tell myself, every day that, I'm going to be the leader in targets or yards or whatever. Like, I want everyone around me to succeed too. So it's like just coming in and performing, to the best of my ability on the field and making the plays I should make. And at the end of the year, it should be a darn good year.
Do you get a sense of
what did last season do for you and your confidence? And I mean, that's a lot of catches for a tight end, specifically here at Boise State.
Yeah, definitely grew my confidence for sure. Understanding that, I can make those types of, plays and big moments on the field. And, that's helped me a lot in the pass game. And now it's just basically, it all comes back down to the little things, you know what I mean? Because, like, during the off season, sometimes the little things will go away. And then when you're back on the field, you're like, oh, like, I need to do every little thing right. And being able to do that right over and over again is super important. Last season really, propelled me and, my growth and understanding, what type of tight end I can be. And it's just like just keep stacking days, building that confidence.
Yeah, I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but like last year is probably having a chip on your shoulder to prove that you can do it.
Yeah.
Now it's the target on your back because everybody knows who you are.
Yeah.
So like from even like a mental standpoint, like what have you poured into that to be ready for this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think just, practice helps me so much with, my prep and understanding, who Matt Lauter is as a player. Very physical in the run game. And then, I'm able to make plays in the pass game. And I know that deep down. Maddox knows that deep down, and the whole team knows that deep down. So it's now just going out there and perfecting my craft every day so I can do that in this 2025 season.
We need to talk about the targets and catches and all that. I mean, you saw some of the receivers that left after last year. I mean, do you feel like maybe you need to step up a little bit in the passing game and you're going to have more action because there's some inexperienced guys there at receiver? Or
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't say there's like an inexperience. I think, those guys they're all great players, but I think we're going to take a huge step in the pass game for sure, just because Maddox is maturing, and we got a pretty deep receiver room too. Some guys haven't seen the field, but they've been out there in practice proving it. So
yeah, with those new faces, do you feel like team chemistry is going well overall for fall camp and teams coming together?
Yeah, 100%. I think this team's bonded very well. I think our offense is able to, when we're in rhythm, we're very scary. And that starts with communication and our prep for practice. But I feel like for the first 3 practices, I feel like we've been in rhythm pretty well. The offense is doing very well in the air and on the ground, so I'm excited for what's to come.
Tight end room, very similar depth to last year. What are you seeing from Matt Wagner and all the tight ends behind you?
Yeah, we were actually just talking about this coming out of practice, but in our room, we have a very high standard for sure. And that comes off, the year that me and Wags and a few of the other guys had last year, just knowing what type of room we are, and we are Boise State tight ends, right? Like, we're held to a very high standard. We've had guys in the past have huge seasons, and that's who we want to be as a room. Everyone's definitely stepping up in that room, and we're just trying to eliminate those mistakes in practice. And I think we've done a good job doing that. It's practice 3, and we're going to keep growing on that every day.
Whether it be your confidence in him, his confidence in you,
Yeah.
How would you describe your chemistry with Maddox Matson, compared to this point in time last year, I guess?
Yeah, I think, now that he has, the offense in his hands, and, he's taken the next step for sure. It's really, like I said, it's the little things. Whether that's a good or a bad play in practice, he kind of just gives me this look, and I don't know, it hits different. Like, I understand, like, it's either like flush it or it's like, hey dude, good play. Like, and that just builds confidence in me. So I'm able to go out there and keep making plays, and then it's the little things where he pulls me aside in the locker room, like, hey, like, the ball should be here, and just improving off that every day. And then when we go out there and do that, it's making that consistent. So it's like, the defense is no way to guard it at all.
What about the secondary this year? You see a lot of them. There's some new pieces, a couple of transfers and whatnot. Like,
Yeah.
Thoughts there?
Yeah. I haven't really looked too deep. I mean, we're on practice 3 right now, but those guys come to compete every day. I know we got a few transfers, and Mickey's doing a great job. Obviously, Buck and Zion are guys that are out there, making plays. And then we got our 2 corners. Like for any football player, it's eliminating the little mistakes to become the best player you can be. I'm not in their individual periods or whatever, but I know who they are, and the standard Coach D holds for this team, and we're looking for a huge year out of them too. I mean, if they're locked down this year, this year is going to be special.
we all saw the change to the goal there in the team room, but just after last year getting to the CFP, like, just to know that you guys can do it and have done it, just how does that change, I guess, just the mentality or the mindset this year?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is starting fast, and Coach D does a good job emphasizing that. Obviously, our first game's in Florida, it's going to be humid, so we got our Inferno practices that help us with that. But I mean, if you don't start fast, it's it's hard to do that, right? So I think Coach D does a good job emphasizing that. And yeah, just walking in the team room and seeing that every day, and knowing that we did that last year, and like that's the team we're supposed to be every year. So it's good that he put that up there, and you know, we're all excited to go out there and compete and try to make a run again.
Heading south for the start of the season. You know,
Yeah.
you did it last year too. Do you
Yeah.
feel a little bit more prepared at least this time around?
Yeah, I do. I feel like, you know, we did some Inferno in the summer too during workouts, which helped a lot. But I think it's the depth in our room and other rooms is super important as well. I mean, obviously we don't have Ashton to whatever he did that first game, 6 touchdowns or whatever it was, incredible. But obviously we don't have that, right? So it's rotating guys in who are fresh. And, you know, I feel really confident in the offense and that we're going to go out, you know, to South Florida, and obviously we have a great coaching staff. They know what they're doing. So we're going to have guys in there rotating fresh, and we're going to be, you know, playing, you know, our best football for sure.
Malik Sherrod
Yeah.
having a good camp.
Yeah, he's incredible athlete. He's able to find windows, and you know he's fast and shifty. So as long as you know our offensive line and our tight ends are able to block correctly in our run schemes, he'll be able to find lanes, and we're excited to see that for sure.
Now you always come off as guys pretty confident in your ability, to be honest with you. So
Yeah.
you've proven you're the best tight end in the Mountain West Conference. Can you be one of the best tight ends in college football?
Yes, sir, 100%. That's what I'm trying to go out there and improve this year. And like I said, man, it all comes back to the little things. You know, being the best player, you know, in the run game is super important at tight end as well. And that's what, you know, what I'm looking to become. And then that's going to transition to being one of the best players in the pass game and having that connection with Maddox. So yeah, I'm, you know, God's got me, and I'm not, you know, every day at night, I'm not like, oh, I have to be the top 10 tight end in the country. So I'm just, you know, trying to focus on myself, and, you know, hopefully that can put me, you know, in a spot where I can be, you know, one of those guys for sure.
Back to Malik, you know, what was it like welcoming him onto the team? You know, I'd heard in the spring that, you know, a couple players were saying, yeah, you know, when he returned that kickoff against you guys a couple years ago, he was talking trash on the sideline. What was it like to kind of finally have him in the locker room?
Yeah, it's good. He's definitely a team player. He's a locker room guy for sure. He's always whether that's talking smack or encouraging others, he's always, you know, out and about, and, you know, whether, yeah, like I said, whether that's talking smack or encouraging others, but he's always on the field, like competing his tail off all the time. So when we see that out of him, you know, it brings everyone else up, and we're able to do that as well. Sweet. Yeah, thank you guys.